Welcome back to the show. Well, the gloves are off and the political bare-knuckle fight is on as both party leaders slug it out to convince voters they're the ones you can trust ahead of the July 2nd poll. Joining us now is Shadow Minister for Transport and Infrastructure Anthony Albanese here in the studio.
Morning.
And beaming in on a legal satellite from Adelaide is the Minister for Industry, Innovation and Science, Christopher Pyne. Good morning to both of you.
G'day.
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Anthony.
All right, well, let's start by taking a look at today's Daily Telegraph, and this could be a real problem for the opposition leader. The paper caricatures him as Bill Nokia, accusing him of making misleading claims over university funding, healthcare and jobs. Anthony, it's a bad look.
Well, it's a typical look from the Telegraph, who've done this in federal and state campaigns for some time now, and I think everyone discounts it because everyone expects it. So people will go, yep, that's what the telly do. It'll get worse next week.
Well, one of the biggest issues has been this whole issue of privatising Medicare. It's a huge fight, and last night on the 7:30 report, Bill Shorten was asked to repeat his accusation that the Coalition wanted to privatise healthcare. Let's take a look.
Can you put your hand on your heart and look Australians in the eye and say that the Coalition has a policy to privatise Medicare?
I can say to the people of Australia that this election and their vote on July the 2nd will determine the future of Medicare.
Anthony, it does look like Mr Shorten is trying to scare Australians that Medicare is going to be privatised. The Prime Minister has said categorically it will not be privatised. So why does the opposition persist with this, what looks like a lie?
We'll have a look at what they're doing, not just what they're saying. What they're doing is freezing the Medicare rebate so that people get off bulk billing, so that people go to essentially to a private system rather than a public system. What we know is Whitlam created Medibank, the Liberals got rid of it. Hawke brought it back, the Liberals have tried to undermine it. As part of their DNA. Part of the big divide in Australian politics is Labor that believe in the public healthcare system at the front as the centrepiece of health policy, and the Conservative forces who really don't believe in Medicare, who've never believed in Medicare, who support private healthcare on the basis of ability to pay rather than based upon need.
Christopher, you've actually said that there'll be no part of Medicare that will change whatsoever under a coalition government after July the 2nd. But the consensus is that the system, particularly when it comes to payments, is old and clunky and most particularly expensive. Why wouldn't you want to update a system that is 25 years old?
Well, Lisa, we think we can do that in-house using the Digital Transformation Office, which Malcolm Turnbull, of course, created. And what this issue has now become about is whether we want to have a Prime Minister who tells lies all the time. And that, of course, is what Bill Shorten is offering the Australian public. He's been exposed as being a liar about privatising Medicare. And now the issue is Bill Shorten fit to be the Prime Minister of Australia when he can't tell the truth about something which is so clearly a bold-faced lie as his lie about privatising Medicare?
But you wouldn't want to do something to update it more than just taking it in-house. I mean, the consensus is that it's old-fashioned, it's out of date and that costs a lot of money.
Well, Labor began the process of considering whether we should partner with the private sector for the delivery of IT services in Medicare. That just highlights the hypocrisy of the Labor Party on this issue. They did that in 2009 when they were in government. But Malcolm and Susan Lee and Scott Morrison believe that using the Digital Transformation Office, the capacity that we now have, thanks to Malcolm as Minister for Communications, we can do that work within the government so that there'll be no need to have any kind of a partnership with the private sector. All it does, however, is expose that Labor, in a desperate scare campaign, have been exposed as bald-faced liars. And I'm sorry that Anthony has felt the need to get caught up in the net.
Anthony?
Well, we know that there's a fundamental divide in Australian politics, just like the divide over public education, where Malcolm Turnbull earlier this year proposed a funding system that would just fund private schools only and would withdraw all funding from public education. There's a theme here. Public health, public education, public broadcasters, the Conservative forces in this country don't support them.
The theme is that Bill Shorten can't tell the truth. That's the problem.
No, Well, you know, I mean, the Daily Telegraph...
Bill Shorten is not fit to
give
be
the
the Prime
Daily
Minister if he
Telegraph
can't tell the
credit.
truth.
They've had one excellent front page during this campaign.
They've had one
but
good
apart
front
from
page
that,
for
Which
you.
one is that?
But apart from
Save
that,
our Albo.
that's the obvious one, Lisa,
Save
where
our
they
Albo.
supported my re-election.
Oh, Save Albo.
But it is...
You were
That's
happy
right.
with the Save Albo campaign.
I was happy with the Save Our Albo campaign, and they've been very useful for fundraisers, it must be said, since then. But in terms of the Telegraph's coverage, we expect that. I think the people who are their readers expect it, and therefore they discount what they say.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. There's only 8 sleeps to go. You both must be
There are.
exhausted at this point, are you?
Oh,
Absolutely.
I don't want it to end. I don't want it to end, Lisa.
Yes, you do. Well, I
I'm having
do.
the time of my life.
I do, and
I
I'm
love
looking
the
forward
campaign.
to today I'm in Tasmania launching our tourism policy, and that's my last interstate visit. So I am looking forward to being on the home front in Grosvenor in the last week.
All right, OK. Good to see both of you.
And I'll be here on
Thank
election night.
I know you will. I know you will. I think Christopher was... You know, are you going to join us, Christopher?
No, I'll be ensconced in my electorate with my volunteers.
He's in a bunker. He'll be in a bunker.
He's
Thanking
dissed us.
them for helping me out in the campaign.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Christopher. Thanks, Albo.